Welcome to Live, Breathe Yoga, a show dedicated to inspiring your practice and elevating your mind, body, and soul. Today on Case Study, we welcome back Darren Austin Hall as we learn about music as a sacred practice. Coming up later in the show, get your mats ready for Strike a Pose, where we discover how to connect with a patient practice. Don't forget to stay tuned for Yoga Bites, where we share our recipe of the day. We have a great show in store for you, so stay connected for more Live, Breathe Yoga. Mudra is the Sanskrit word for gesture and is used to deepen your awareness and concentration during your practice. It can involve a combination of asana, also known as postures, breathing techniques, locks, and visualization, or it can be as simple as a change in hand position. Svadhisthana means dwelling place of self. It is the second chakra, also known as the sacral chakra. To practice the Svadhisthana mudra, place your right hand in your left and allow your thumbs to touch. This mudra will open your creativity chakra. Hi everyone, we are lucky today because Darren is back with us to chat about shamanic music. Thanks for being with us again.
My pleasure.
So tell me about how shamanic music has come onto the scene, the music scene.
So there's a lot of interest in shamanism in general, in the healing arts. And one of my teachers said that shamanism is kind of the way of the future for humanity, because to be a shaman is basically to be someone who accesses all these different realms of existence, the spiritual, the mystical realms. And a shaman was typically the doctor of an ancient indigenous tribe. And they believed that most illness begins in that realm of feeling, psychology, and more of that spiritual realm. And music is very connected to shamanism because music is said to put people into more of an emotive state, more of a feeling state. It bypasses the intellect. A lot of shamanic singing can be done without words, which allows, again, just to bypass the mind, latching onto language and creating images and speaking more directly to the heart in a person. So there's a lot of interest in this kind of music because it just evokes a certain sensibility in humans to get us more in our heart. And a lot of spiritual teachers are saying that is the huge change that has to happen right now. We have to get beyond this intellect into the heart, where the heart understands more of a holistic reality, not this kind of segmented divisiveness that's more of the intellect's domain.
And how are you finding the response to the music? As a musician yourself, do you find that people are more receptive? Was it different in the beginning?
People are generally very receptive. People have very powerful experiences. It's coming from the eternal moment. So I'm really plugging in and becoming actually a channel. And sometimes words do come out and the words will be totally inspired, channeled, usually involving spiritual teachings. And people can have very visceral, tangible experiences of feeling emotions flushing through them, going on a journey, feeling resolved in certain burdens that they have in their life. And yeah, it becomes a very spiritual experience for people.
Now with shamanic music, when you say that you're singing, is there a specific sound that is synonymous with shamanic music?
No, not really. I mean, for me, some people call it a language of light. I think the musical term is idioglossalia, or speaking in tongues.
Okay.
It's just more of an ecstatic singing where your voice becomes more of an instrument rather than a wordplay kind of lyrical thing. And there's a lot of different singers. Lisa Gerrard from Dead Can Dance is one of the most famous ones. She sang the Gladiator theme song that won an Academy Award. She's also a very shamanic free singer. And Sigur Rós, the great band from Iceland. Jónsi does sing in Icelandic, but a lot of the time he also sings in what he calls Hopelandic, which is basically just sounds that make him feel good.
I love that band, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, and as an artist, it's profound to sing that way because you're no longer thinking about what comes next. You're no longer thinking about what words you're singing. it becomes this more abstract space where you're literally a conduit for feeling. And you're actually inviting people to feel very fiercely with you, which is so healing in a culture that's inhibited and repressed on that level.
And where do you see shamanic music going from here on?
Well, if I'm gonna have anything to do with it, I'd like to take it more into the mainstream, because part of the things I'm playing with now as well is getting people to chant and make sound with me in a free way, not necessarily in a kirtan call response yogic way. And I really sense when people come together and make sound out of nothing, energetically you feel this like spiral energy starts to form, and people literally start to just like ascend into other dimensions, but together, which can be incredibly blissful. So we, the musicians that I play with and my producer, we have the goal of playing in the ACC in like a couple of years and really having like the lights, a lot of fractal geometry stuff in the background, and really taking thousands and thousands of people into this realm of shamanic sound where we can all feel this intense vibrational shift together.
Well, I think if anyone's ever been in a drum circle, that's kind of that same energy where sometimes people come up and start picking up an instrument and then join in. And I guess that's kind of what you're trying to connect with in that regard as well.
Absolutely. There's something very primal about drums. And drums are a very shamanic technique to entrain the brain into these altered states as well. There's something hypnotic about rhythm. And one of my great shamanic teachers, Dr. Bradford Keeney, he spent about 10 years working in the Kalahari desert with the bush people who were Hollywoodized in the movie Gods Must Be Crazy. And they use a lot of drumming. And in their culture, the shamans are called song catchers. And it's very interesting. Yes.
Why song catchers?
So it's very interesting. What they say is that in the higher dimensions, there's basically all these ropes of light. And scientists now say this is how reality is constructed energetically. They call it superstring theory. So it's interesting to see the convergences. And they say these ropes of light basically are the internet of the spiritual realm. And ancestor spirits, different entities, different gods, what have you, use these ropes of light to sing and send information as songs to them. So a shaman will go into a state and literally like feel connection to these ropes and connect to the ropes and bring forth a song from these higher realms. And those songs will be spoken from these very angelic spirits. And then they'll sing them to the community, and the community will rouse around the song and sing it together, and it will all alter them.
Have you ever experienced that yourself?
Well, so the interesting thing for me is when I was a small child, I started to hear music from a young age all the time. And when I was asleep at night, I would often bang my head against my pillow like a drum and sing for hours, every single night. Just not even words, just singing. And I would always go into altered states. Now I stopped when I was about a teenager because I started to realize and become self-conscious, realize this isn't cool. But when I started working with Bradford and he told me the story of the song catchers, I gingerly put up my hand and I described what I was doing as a child. And he jumped up in the air, and he has this Louisiana drawl, he's very charismatic, and he pointed at me and he said, "We've got a live one here." And in that moment, I realized that this thing that I was kind of like ashamed about, sort of, I realized it was actually a gift. And that's when I started to sing in that fashion again. And the bowls started to come into play. Yeah.
So do you find shamanic music is what helped you connect with your gift? Having that outlet?
Absolutely. If I didn't know about shamanism and how shamans interacted with song and music, I don't think I'd have the context. I think I would have just thought it was just some weird thing I was doing. But now I realize, no, this is actually a very, very powerful gift and something to be used with responsibility. I don't really sing at bars and those types of settings, but the one time I did sing at a bar, women actually fainted when I was singing because it was so powerful. And
it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Can you share with us some of your music?
Sure.
Great.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to hear it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, the heart tells a story, never ending glory. These tears, they strike down on this holy ground. We are remembering how loving it can be when we open our being to the freedom that was born to our essence. Oh, and the bliss that is our birthright. No wrong
that was phenomenal. So you can see why we had him on the show again. I want to thank Darren for joining us again, and coming up after the break, strike a pose. Stay with us. Hi everyone, welcome back. On Strike a Pose this season, we're going over postures and offering modifications so you can practice safely at home or at the studio. In addition to that, we're also sharing different styles of yoga, and today we're going to look at therapeutic yoga. I have David Good here with us today to show you what it's all about. Enjoy.
Okay, so we're going to get started on your backs. So I'm going to ask if you can lay flat out, but bend your knees and walk your feet wide enough on your mat that you can allow your knees to fall together. Perfect. Palms up, shoulders nice and relaxed here. Chest is opening, head rocking maybe from side to side. So this is actually a yoga pose. This is called constructive rest pose. Great pose to start with, to let yourself really relax. You can see that they've got like a nice neutral curve through their lower back. The shoulders are opening, the chest is opening, and there's a lot of breath through their body. So I'm also going to cue ujjayi breath, so breathing in and out of their nose, their mouth closed, and seeing if I can get them just to start to settle. So through the lower back, the psoas muscles, they travel through the hips, attach into the groins. They're our major stress response. They're always tight for a lot of us, so this is a way to let them go. As the femur bones drop into the hip sockets, these muscles are relaxing. And you can do this on your own. No yoga class, do it before bed. 20 minutes would be great to just have like a really blissful sleep. Nice. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, I can see for sure, their bodies are really starting to relax. Breath is slowing down. Nice. Good. So from here, we're gonna actually move to a more of a therapeutic kind of core exercise. So I'm gonna ask them to walk their feet a little bit closer. And they're gonna lift their knees so their knees are stacking on top of their hips and their shins are parallel to the floor. And if this is too hard, what they can do is they can also start with their feet on the floor. So maybe let's do that. Why don't you bring your feet on the floor, and then you can start here, and then you can start with your knees up. Yeah, so we can do both variations. So I'm gonna get them with fingertips to take their fingers and kind of wrap them around their belly and find their belly button and then go a little bit below their belly button. So that's your pubic bone. And they're gonna keep their fingertips there. So they're just gonna use their fingertips for a little bit of response just to see what's going on. Okay, so they're gonna breathe. So you're gonna do, one knee comes into your chest. Okay, so we'll let's say the right knee lifts up. So right knee lifts up and you'll hold that way. Okay, and then he's gonna have both his feet up, so then we'll have the both variations. So to activate our deep, deep core, and I'm not talking about six packs, I'm talking about like the stuff that literally holds us together. We're gonna go so slow, eyes closed, taking our time, letting our right heel slowly tap the floor. Just the right leg, so right leg lowers, right heel taps the floor. And then you're gonna inhale, bring the leg back up, that slow, like that slow. And then you're gonna switch, so you're gonna bring your left knee into your chest and bring your right foot to the floor. So that would be the great variation if it's a little bit harder. And then left heel taps the floor. And then slow, inhale, bring the knee back up. So then you're gonna switch, so your right knee's gonna come up. And you're gonna exhale, lower, right heel to the floor. And then you're gonna bring it up, okay? They're gonna bring their feet to the floor. So the question I'm gonna ask them is, did you feel it in your belly or did you feel it in your hips? There's no right or wrong, just a question. Okay, hips. Okay, so we were doing a core exercise. So we tend to actually use more of our hip flexors for core. So I'm gonna get them to do it again, but do it even slower. And close your eyes and actually get your brain, say to yourself, core, I'm gonna work my core. Do whatever you need to do to activate your core. So you're gonna bring your knees back up, and why don't you bring both your knees up this one? And then so slow, right heel lowers as you exhale. Draw your belly button in, and then inhale, lift the knee back up. And then exhale, left heel comes down. Okay. Try to draw the belly button like down to the floor a little bit. And then come back up and do one more time each side. Nice. Perfect. And good. Slowly feet come to the floor when you're ready. So this is hard. This is really hard. What I'm trying to do is build a neural pathway from our brain to just our core to activate our core. So not working hip flexors, just using core. So it was hard, right? Like it wasn't an easy thing to do. It's quite a hard thing to do. So you can do this on your own. You know, you've got a second, unroll your mat at home, try it, but start to build up that muscle memory. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna roll onto our hands and knees. So I'm gonna get you guys to come up onto hands and knees and come to a tabletop position. Okay, so hands beneath your shoulders, knees beneath your hips, and you're just gonna hold here. Drawing your belly button in. One cue that I like is the idea of I'm coming by and doing up their drawstring. So I'm doing up the drawstring of their pants, so they've got this kind of tone, this lift to their belly. I'm gonna ask you to go slow and reach your right arm forward and left leg back. I think you guys will be great. Yeah, you'll fit, perfect. And hips level, so drop the hip, keep it level, perfect. Big stretch, and then slowly hand and knee comes back down. And then try the other side, so left arm forward, right leg back. Nice, and the whole time just making sure the hips stay level, perfect. And then lower. So they can continue this, or right arm forward, left leg back. As you exhale, tap. Right elbow, left knee, curl into center. And inhale, lengthen. And exhale, tap. And do two more. Okay, so notice it's not easy to keep yourself stable, right? So you're going slow. Lots of stabilizing, lots of core, also lots of low back. And then do one more. Exhale, curl and tap. Inhale, lengthen. And then hand and knee comes to the floor. Nice, good. Do the left arm, right leg. Okay, so opposite. And then 4 times. Exhale, curl and tap. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, curl and tap. So you can fit this in at the beginning of a yoga class. You can fit this in on your own just to kind of wake things up. Good. What I do sometimes too is I actually put a yoga block on my lower back, and I see if I can keep the block from falling. Nice, good. And then when you're ready, release. Okay, last thing to do. Okay, so this is a little bit more kind of hardcore. Okay, so toes curled under. All I want to do is keep everything really stable, really active. So I'm not gonna get them to kind of lift up through their low back. I wanna keep this nice curve through their low back. So all we're gonna do, guys, is lift our knees like an inch off the floor. Okay, and we'll hold. Yep, and we're gonna hold here, we're gonna breathe here. So working our deep core, our transverse abdominis, it's gonna hold everything together, okay? How about 10 more minutes? We'll see how long we can hold, I'm kidding. And then knees come down, okay? Come into child's pose, take a break, and forehead comes down. So take a nice little break here. So unlike a lot of exercises where we use the big rectus, like all the 6-pack, we're trying to get really deep into our core. Nice. Perfect. Okay, come forward and we'll stay in tabletop one more time. So one quick thing, and I would recommend this for every yoga practitioner, is wrist flexibility. Okay, so you take your hands and you turn your palms up. Okay, and you do the other hand as well, so both. Okay, and you're just breathing. So both of them have a lot of flexibility. What they can do to add is walk their hands a little closer to their knees. And then keep the backs of the hands on the floor and sit your bum back, almost like you were coming into child's pose. Okay. And you might rock from side to side a little. So a lot of people, especially when they start yoga, they're in this position a lot and their wrists get really sore. So we're trying to just build up some flexibility. Okay? And then let's come back and we'll flip the palms back over. And let's actually rotate the arms, and we'll rotate the two bones in our forearm, and we'll actually start to open up the carpal tunnel a little bit, so in the wrist. So we're creating some space through the wrist. And then same thing here too, you can rock a little from side to side. Okay. And then last thing you can do is, again, either walk your knees closer or walk your hands closer to your knees. Sit back a little. And as you sit back, start to peel your hands off the floor, lifting the thumbs off the floor. And then as the thumbs lift, we're gonna actually do some thumb yoga, where you just draw your thumb across the hand, and then open the thumb up, and then draw the thumb across, and then open up. And you can draw circles too. So computers, texting, right? So all this work we do with our hands. Make sure you go the other way. Nice, perfect. And then just give your hands like a little shake. Okay, so do that as much as you can. Last thing to do, so I think they're gonna love this, or they're yoga therapy balls. So they're gonna stand on the balls. So you're gonna come on up and stand up. And let's pick the right foot each. Okay, so grab it on, place it underneath your right foot. And I want you to think about not like a tickle, like a push down, almost the feeling one of my teachers always says between crying and laughing, like a good kind of massage. And I want you to work down the middle arch, so across the inner arch, and really squish, like squish the living daylights out of the ball. Okay. Stress therapy, I think of maybe someone I'm having a real challenge with in my life, and I imagine that's their head. I'm kidding. And I squish really hard. Okay, squish, squish, squish. So what we're doing is we're taking the foot and all the fascia that lines this foot, that shrink wraps the foot, and we're trying to open it up. Majority of the bones that are in our body are in our hands and feet. So there's so many little bones in there that we're trying to get some space into. Put your heel on it and push down with your heel, like really hard. Good, how does it feel? It's good, nice. So do this more often, and yogis do this more often. People who wear high heels do this more often, right? So we're trying to get our feet more open. Okay, nice. So I'm gonna get them to try something, okay? And to come off the balls, place your feet about hip width apart, and just close your eyes and do a forward fold. Okay, just do a nice forward fold. Good. Do you notice the side that we did the work with the ball? It feels a little looser, like feels a little bit more stretchier? Yeah, so there's an idea that there's a fascial line from the bottom foot up the whole back leg and actually gets into the back. Actually attaches to your forehead. So we just did work on releasing that line. So they're noticing that side of their body is a little bit looser and freer. Okay, so last time, try both feet. So take the ball off to the side and come to your Uttanasana forward fold. So knees can bend if you need to. Yeah, let yourself hang. You can grab elbows, you can swing a little from side to side. Good, and breathe. Perfect. Nice.
And there you have it, yoga therapy. I want to thank Kate, David, and Lee for being with us today. Coming up after the break, Yoga Bites. Stay connected. Sahasra, the crown chakra, meaning 1,000 petals. Easy guac with organic tortilla chips. This is a quick and easy snack to satisfy your hunger. mix or mush together with a fork, grab your tortillas, and enjoy. Now, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer on the show, feel free to connect with me on my Facebook page at Kaye.yoga. Thanks for watching. Stay connected for more Live, Breathe Yoga. Namaste.